Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Allen. Thank you for being with us tonight here on KSFY. We're going to begin this evening with an eye-opening conversation with Minnehaha County Commissioner Jeff Barth. Eye-opening because of the budgetary discussions underway right now before the commission and what will likely be a multi-million-dollar decision the commission will have to make sometime next month. We tell you a lot about how Sioux Falls is growing and the effect it has on the city and the decisions those in power have to make. What we don't focus on much is how that growth is also affecting Minnehaha County government. And when you take a closer look at that aspect, what you find is skyrocketing costs, but revenue that does not even come close to matching it.
We're hiring more staff for the state's attorney, for the public defender, and especially for the jail expansion. We're hiring six new correctional officers this year and 12 next year. And those are FTEs. Each of them is, with benefits is a considerable amount.
Minnehaha County Commissioner Jeff Barth says without a doubt what is causing the county's skyrocketing costs is the increasing crime the area is seeing as it continues to grow. And Barth tells me what exacerbates the problem, in his opinion, are parole rates at the South Dakota State Penitentiary in Sioux Falls.
It seems to me that the state is continuing to push off their responsibilities on us while they refuse to do it. You take a look at our state penitentiary here in Sioux Falls. They bring those people here, and then they passed a change in their process where they let people go earlier and earlier. And of course, where do they go? They go to Sioux Falls, and then they go to our jail. And so the state's lack of responsibility is affecting us. And they don't compensate us for any of this.
How much of an impact those parole rates have is a debatable point. But when you look at Department of Corrections statistics, from July of last year through May of this year, more than 4,100 inmates were released from DOC custody. Obviously, not all of them would come to Sioux Falls. But even a fraction could make an already tough problem that much tougher. And that problem is this. While cities in South Dakota have access to property tax revenue, sales tax revenue, and various licensing fees, the only real source of revenue for South Dakota counties is property tax. And even then, Barth says, what they receive from property tax is only a fraction of what you end up paying.
Only 13 cents on the dollar goes to the county. The rest of it goes to the schools, it goes to the city.
And Barth says he is trying to get this changed to whatever degree could be possible by talking to policymakers and peer and explaining to them that the current funding formula for counties does not work when the county is seeing record-breaking growth, as Minnehaha has for several years. And Barth says all the people he's talked to have told him the same thing.
They just say opt out. In fact, I've talked to legislators, they say opt out. I talked to Governor Dugard's chief of staff, he said just opt out. In fact, one year the Chief Justice Gilbertson raised the rate we pay outside attorneys by $3 an hour. Well, at that time that was less than, we were paying less than $100 an hour, and so it was more than a 3% raise. How do we raise it? The justice told me, just opt out.
3 years ago, the Minnehaha County Commission made a decision to opt out for $3.5 million. It meant a property tax increase, but Barth tells me it had to be done. Well, now it's 3 years later, and Barth says the commission is once again looking at a potential opt-out for property taxes, this time for nearly double that amount.
So we're looking at probably something like $6.5 million opt-out for Minnehaha County. And that's $2 million just for 2020.
$6.5 million to cover costs of hiring new county jail staff to handle an increasing number of prisoners, to cover the cost of hiring more deputy state's attorneys and more public defenders.
When we hire, say, 4 more attorneys, we don't have places to put them. So we're remodeling jail cells to put people in. We're looking at subdividing one office into 2, at which point you no longer have privacy with your client. We're bursting at the seams in our admin building. So it may well be that in the next year we'll move some of our county operations out of that building. Perhaps equalization, which is the tax assessment group, might move out. We might move out planning and zoning. The state's attorney needs more and more space, as does the public defender and public advocate.
The Minnehaha County Commission will decide in July whether to move forward with an opt-out plan or not. Barth is of a belief that it will move forward because he says the county really has no other choice. While both Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County face challenges as a result of continued growth, Barth tells me there is an obvious difference between what the entities are able to accomplish.
The city gets sales tax, they get property tax, they get all kinds of licensure things that we don't get. And for whatever reason, they have swimming pools and we have jails.
Minnehaha County Commissioner Jeff Barth joining us tonight for This Week in Politics.